Check, check. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's go.
And let's go. It is Ballsy Uncut. And wherever you're consuming this podcast, I really do appreciate it. It could be live on our different platforms, X, Facebook, YouTube, or later in podcast form. I am Michael Ball. Lots of people know me as Ballsy. If this is your first time here, welcome. Now, on the line, I've got to one follower today and maybe commenter, because my question of the day: what's your prediction for the Riders game against the BC Lions? Listen, I like talking all sports. I like talking CFL primarily, though, and football primarily, but mostly the 3-down game. And I do realize a lot of my audience comes from Saskatchewan. So Riders, Lions, what's your prediction on the game? One lucky follower will get 2 tickets to a CFL game and a pick six, we'll call it, from District Brewing, as I'll snag you a 6-pack of the passion fruit lime or mango lime fruited seltzer. They've helped me, the super squeeze fruited seltzer, they helped me put up the billboard on Sask Drive right near Mosaic Stadium for a 3-month stretch. So that's to promote our Balls Are Bigger post-game show. I'm just nailing down my co-host. I got a few names in the wind here, but it will be a former CFLer or professional athlete. That's all I'm going to say that will help me break down the Riders and the Lions game. So if you follow along and comment, I'll pick a lucky winner for a future CFL game and a pick 6 from my friends at District Brewing. Also, Ward Tirecraft, 101 Dudney Avenue. Tire and brake needs? Ask about their payment plans. They got tires for your car, truck, trailer, great customer service. We all need the rubber to stay on the road, that's for sure. Go check out Michael Barth and the gang at 101 Dudney Avenue, Ward Tirecraft. Thanks to them for getting on board. Let's get into it now, and let's start with the different football. That would be Copa America. Messi broke a tie to move into second all-time in international scorers with a goal in the 51st minute. Argentina beat Canada 2-0. That was the 109th for his country, moving him one clear of legendary Iranian forward Ali Daei. Only Cristiano Ronaldo, with 130 goals for Portugal, has more in men's international football. Like I said, Argentina won the semifinal 2-0. Pretty good showing by Canada. But I'm trying to get into this soccer. My friend's Kevin Holness, who's going to join me next week to talk soccer here locally. And, there's some talk, should we get a CPL team here? MLS, we're not represented. We got this big stadium and all this stuff. And that's well and good. And I'm trying to get into it because my kid's into soccer. He's into, I forget which his team is, but to me, it's tough to get into. There are so many leagues, different divisions, all that stuff. That's one thing. I don't find it overly exciting, although I will say there's lots of strategy and talent involved. So there's that. But I will tell you, I am trying my best to get into this thing. And I watched that game yesterday, and I don't know the names yet, but one of the Canadian players just nicks an Argentinian, and he goes down like he got a shot with a sniper rifle. And he goes down and he's writhing in pain. And on the replay, it was like the tip of the guy's shoe and maybe a blade of grass. And he goes down like he broke his ankle. It's absolutely embarrassing. And quite honestly, it's losing me. I can't get into it for that reason. Like, that is just ridiculous. NHL players lose their teeth in their back in 2 minutes, block a 100-mile-an-hour slap shot, pardon me, right in the gonads, go down the tunnel and come back 2 shifts later. These guys are flopping around. Football players, what they go through, even NBA guys, and these guys are flopping around. It's actually embarrassing, and it does nothing for the whole, it's a beautiful game. The beautiful game. Nothing beautiful about that, to be quite honest with you. And it's a real turn off for me. But I know it's the biggest game in the world, biggest sport in the world. And apparently Canada's men's team was in tatters before this. The last 15, 18 months has been a nice run where they're turning it around. So good on them. And I guess England just beat the Netherlands 2-1. And so they're into the final against Spain for the Euros. I'm not even sure who Argentina's playing. The Argentinians are playing, but Quite honestly, I don't care anymore. Canada's out. CFL. Christian Albright and Charbel De Beer are out with ACL injuries. So we're thinking, okay, they got some Canadian depth. They've got Nick Daly and Lake Corte Moore. Well, Daly did not practice today. Not sure what that was all about. A regular viewer of mine, James Hamilton, thanks to him for checking out the podcast on a daily basis. He suggested to me that maybe they should look at 28-year-old Jonathan Kongbo, who is a Canadian, 28, physical D lineman. I think he's the guy that the Lions got rid of Sean Lemon for, and then he wasn't going to be a starter, so he was mad. He went to Hamilton, and now he's a free agent. So that could be an option. The Argos won't have defensive lineman Jake Seresnin in the lineup tomorrow when they take on the Montreal Alouettes. He's been moved to the one-game injured list with a shoulder injury. The Alouettes in that game have listed defensive back, their outstanding safety, Marc-Antoine Dequoy, in the starting lineup when they take on the Argonauts. He's considered a game-time decision with a shoulder injury. We got lots of sports to get to here. Team Saskatchewan's 15 and under girls flag football team, which is based in Regina, set to represent Team Canada this week at the USA Football 2024 Junior International Cup in Los Angeles. I think they're getting going tomorrow. So we'll see if we can catch up with their head coach, Tim Seiferling, down there in Los Angeles. I sent him a message and we're just waiting to get a hold of him. I want to get to this before we go to break here. Now, the Canada Cup U18s are going on, and this week you could get a, I think it's a day pass, different pricing. You can get a day pass for $40. Okay, that's a day pass, and there's a couple games a day. They're into the semifinal round tonight. It's Canada against Ontario. Actually, coming up next year on the show, we're going to hear from Dwayne Masson of Team Saskatchewan, their head coach. They are winners of 4 straight of those U18 championships. So we're going to hear from him in a couple of minutes. And I was thinking, I'm going to go down and check out that game. And listen, I'm not poor, but I don't have money just, I don't have a money tree in the back, okay? I'm not stacking chads, as people say, every day. So I thought, okay, maybe they just have a drop-in fee. But I guess because of man and women power, people power, whatever we say now without offending anybody, they don't have, like, they're not kicking people out and bringing people back in and all this stuff. So you pay $40 to go to just one game if you want to. I'm sorry. I love football. I love amateur football. I'm going to be calling Regina Thunder games this year. Back to my roots, junior football. I'll be doing a few games on Access now with Avery LeBlanc and Elliot Graham. It's going to be great. Can't wait. But I am not paying $40 to go watch high school kids. I don't care how great they are. I wouldn't go to a Texas high school game for $40. I went to watch the Nebraska Cornhuskers and UND Fighting Hawks. And with the conversion, I paid under $40 for a ticket. Yeah, I was in the bleeders, but there were 90,000 people. I got atmosphere. I got NCAA top tier football. I am not going to a Canada Cup high school game at Mosaic Stadium for $40. That's ridiculous. Where are your brains? Where are your brains? And I'm led to believe it's the local people that are organizing this, that are organizing the pricing. So maybe it has something to do with the people power and they just don't, let's just make it $40. But you're gouging families to watch their kids because let's be honest, it's the friends and family tournament. And if you want outside people with no skin in the game per se, no relatives or friends, just a guy like me to pop in, I didn't ask for a media pass. I would have paid, but I would have paid $20, maybe $25, because Football Canada is subsidizing this tournament. Football Canada subsidizes this tournament, and we're still paying $40. That is ridiculous. We're trying to grow this game. Don't grow it off the back of when you're getting subsidized. Don't grow it off the back of parents and family and just regular spectators that want to check out the stars of tomorrow today. This is how we build the CFL. This is why in America they're so big because, football's so big because they start them. Oh, this guy played in Texas, at Texas, this high school in Texas. And then he went to Oregon and now he's here in the NFL. We don't do that. We're not even at the cement mixing stage of building a house. We got to get them engaged early, get people interested early. Oh, I watched that kid at the Canada Cup. in Regina. Man, look at him. He's now playing for the Calgary Stampeders or Montreal or the Riders. No, not for $40. Not happening. Not happening. Ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. And I have friends coaching this team like Dwayne Masson, who's coming up next. But give me a break. I am not paying that kind of cash. This is Ballsy Uncut Live. All right, welcome back to Ballsy Uncut. No, that is not the lead singer of ZZ Top. This is Dwayne Masson, the U of R Rams longtime assistant coach and the coach for Team Saskatchewan, the U18 Canada Cup in Regina. How you doing, bro?
I'm doing good. Doing really good. Thanks, Michael.
So when it gets hot like this and you got that beard, how warm do you get?
I don't know. I've had it for a long time. I don't even think I notice it anymore. You get old, you get a little out of shape. You're just always hot and sweaty.
How long did it take you to brush that baby out?
Not too long. Every day a little bit of product, a little brush, and a little combing.
That's nice, man. That's awesome. I'm envious because you've got more hair on your chin than I do on my head. So
yeah,
that's quite embarrassing happens for me. So Dwayne, now how many years? 2011 since you've been involved with the Team Sask program?
Yeah, that's correct. I kind of came out and was a guest coach, like a helper coach years ago when they were getting going. You just always need help at those camps with a lot of guys, like a lot of players. And then I think in 2012 or 2013, Mike Thomas gave me a call, and there was an opportunity. There was a bunch of new coaches coming together, and I was fortunate enough to join the staff. And we went to Moncton that year, and we struggled a little bit. We finished fourth, so that kind of put a little bit of pressure on us where you get in that fourth place game, and if you lose, then you get relegated to the bottom side of the bracket, and then it's hard to get out of there if you get there. So the next year we had a little bit of a coaching change, and I took over as the offensive coordinator, and we just had a really good effort by the players, and we ended up winning the silver medal. And then from there, we've been pretty much in the gold medal game or the bronze medal. We won one bronze medal in Montreal. I believe that was in 15. And otherwise, we've been in the gold or right there. So
yeah, so you're on you're downplaying it. You're on a 4-year run now where you're the champs. Last year, you shared it with who'd you share it with last year?
Yeah,
Quebec?
So we shared with Quebec last year. We got the tournament was in Edmonton, and about halfway through the tournament, the smoke from the wildfires up in northern BC started blowing into Edmonton, and it disrupted the tournament quite a bit. And we had practice canceled, and we were having to move and drive hour and a bit away to practice indoors, and then ultimately the day of the final they kept bumping the game back and back and back and later and later and later, and they canceled a couple of games early, and they tried to come up with some provisions, but we just couldn't ultimately get the game played. It was too smoky, and in fairness to everybody involved, it was super smoky. It was like it was noticeable in the air. It was hard to breathe. Even without kind of doing any kind of physical activity or anything. And then, in a sad twist of fate, so we ended up sharing, the gold medal with Quebec, and that's great. Nobody's really happy about it, but I mean, they had to do something. Mm-hmm. And then the ultimate fate was they ended up playing a game the very next day there. All the smoke blew out. It was crystal clear, and we were already home by that time. So.
That's too bad. And then now you come to Regina here, home turf, but it's smoky. It's smoky again. Were you like, oh my God, is this going to happen again?
Yeah. So 2 days ago, a little bit of smoke blew in, and we were kind of like, yeah, this is going to go away. Like there isn't even any fires near here. We've had so much rain and everything else, and you start doing a little research, and sure enough, there's a fire in Northwest Territories and one in Alaska. And, Paul Harrison, he's still got PTSD from last year. I thought the little guy was pretty shook over it. And yesterday it was smoky. I mean, there's no denying it. At times it was noticeable, and we practiced during the day. It wasn't too bad when we practiced, so I think it was maybe 4 or 5 was the air quality. So, but it's something they're aware of, and the organizing committee has like a plan B. I'm not 100% sure what it is, but I suspect it involves jumping in a bus and going somewhere, getting away from the smoke and playing a game.
Mm-hmm. All right. So, but with everything being equal and it stays here, the setup's obviously great. You're at the best facility in Canada. You're on your home turf, so that's kind of cool to go for 5 in a row.
Yeah, it's super neat. it's unusual being at home for as long as we've been involved in the tournament. The first year in 2014, not my first year, but in 2014 when I took over as a coordinator, we were in Saskatoon. So for us, it still felt like an away game. You know, like you go up and you stay in the dorms, you don't have anything. And here it's a little bit different. You know, I can see my house from most of the places on campus, and I know that if I needed to, I could go home. Obviously, we're not allowed to with Football Canada rules, but it's a little bit different if I forgot, say, I don't know, some medication or a hoodie, I can just drive home and get it. Whereas when you're in Moncton or something, there's none of that. So it's been a little bit weird because it just feels like we're on the road, but it sort of doesn't feel like it. And overall, though, it's been great. Like the teams are practicing at Mosaic and Libel and at the Rams field. And from the guys I've talked to, everybody thinks it's great. The setup's great. The transportation's been really good. The food has been top notch. The players are all getting really, really good care. They've just done excellent. I'd say it's one of the best Canada Cups I've been a part of.
Well, and let's be honest, for the size of city that Regina is, Dwayne, you got your facility at the Rams with the field there. You've got Libel, which I've said to Len Antonini, you just drop, you blindfold a guy or girl, drop them at that field. You'd think you were in Calgary or Vancouver with the trees and everything, right? Minus the mountains. Yeah. And you got Mosaic Stadium. So you got 3 primo facilities in a city of 200-some thousand.
Yeah, and they all have good turf. It's new turf. They all have, their stock. There's dressing rooms people can use. We're not having to use an ATCO trailer like we've been at in the past to dress in. And everything's been on time. There's been no, there hasn't been any hey, where's our bus? Which happens from time to time. Or, back in the day, we've been dropped off at the wrong field. Bus driver drops you off and you get out. We don't know. It's the first practice we're there. And you're practicing on a rugby field, and you think, well, that's okay. Maybe we're supposed to be here. Yeah. And then the rugby team comes out and kicks you off and tells you, now your field's like a mile that way, so get walking.
Wow.
So the organizing committee's been great. Like I said, food's been great. The dorms are really good, and talking to other teams and other coaches, they're having a really good time. I heard a couple of guys from New Brunswick, one of the coaches talking, and he was kind of making jokes. He was FaceTiming with someone, and he was saying, man, I should have never went to school out there. I should have came to school here. So
yeah, well, there you go. Good recruiting tool. And it is kind of a good recruiting tool, right? When you're working out at your facility with the Rams. I know you don't use it as that, but it's, hey, we play our games here. Hey, we practice here. So it does kind of, subliminally work as a recruiting tool, you'd think.
Yeah, I'm sure that there's some players from other provinces who've never been to Regina or never seen it. And the facilities are top notch throughout, whether it's a professional stadium or our stadium or field. They get a good idea what the campus is about. And obviously we don't recruit when we're here. There's certain rules about that. But, for a player just to be here and look around and see it, at least they have an idea of what could be offered to them, if the Rams come calling or the Regina Thunder.
How many years have you been with the Rams now, Dwayne?
About the same. I think I started in 2013 with the Rams as well.
Wow.
Quite a while.
Just a sidebar before we get into your game tonight against Ontario. Josh Donnelly's taken over as the offensive coordinator, but he's got a nice little gray beard on the staff that'll help him out. Just talk about maybe your what kind of relationship you'll have with Josh Donnelly, who is pretty young to take on that role.
Yeah, he is. He's young, but he's like an old soul at heart. I mean, he's one of the brightest young football minds I've been around. I've actually said it since one of the very first interactions I ever had with Josh, which coincidentally was at U18. I'd run into him a little bit at some camps prior to that, but before I really got to know him, he was our starting quarterback at U18 for 2 years. And as soon as I met him, I said, this kid's going to be an unbelievable coach. So he's super dedicated, super driven, and, one of the brightest minds I've been around in football. And hopefully I gave him a few things to think about over the years, and we collaborate on a lot of things, and he's a fun guy to work with, man. He's super excited. He kind of makes you feel young. I've said that a lot. In coaching, you start getting older, and you start having to start thinking about, maybe you got to pass down some knowledge or provide support and those types of things. And Josh is he's super to work with, and really, he always takes our advice. Sometimes we've seen a few things that maybe some of the younger guys haven't had, and it's something to consider and take into account. And he's great. I really enjoy working with him. It's been really good this off season and through spring camp, and I'm excited to see what he has to do. And the sky's the limit for him. Like at one point he was hoping to become, like get paid to coach like all of us hope for. And, I'm a little beyond that now, but everybody else, when you're coming up, that's your goal, right? Is it'd be great to get paid to coach. And I don't see, at some point here in the next little bit, the CFL is coming calling for him. He's going to have to put his time in and he's going to have to prove a lot of things, but there's somewhere down the road where a team is going to really recognize his value and work ethic and everything else. And, he'll if that's his goal, he'll get it. I know he wants to get
there's a trifecta there. You got Mark Mueller now, came from the Rams, who's with the Riders. Mason Nias now coaching at UBC. I had him on the show. Looks up to Mark, and then you got Josh Donnelly, all kind of in the same category, right?
Yeah, for sure, 100%. So it's interesting because these young guys are just great. Nias was a U18 quarterback as well for us, and he's just super good guy, super driven as well. And I know Donnelly's trying to finish up some of his education, all that. He wants to make sure he takes care of all that. But again, sky's the limit, right? So.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so let's talk about this game here coming up against Ontario. What do we know about the Ontario team? And just tell us about your squad a little bit here.
Sure. So Ontario's about, if you ever have watched Ontario play U18, like they're the same team. They're big, they're older, so our team might be made up. Like we probably have anywhere this year, I think we have 8, but usually we have 10 to 14, young players that have the potential to return next year. Ontario has 3, I think, so they're all pretty much 17-year-olds. They're big, right? They have 14 million people to pull from, and we have 1.25 million, somewhere around there. So they're big and they're fast and they're strong, and we jokingly, not jokingly, disrespectfully, but we call them the Big Red Machine, right? They used to call themselves that, and you notice them walking around campus and watching their first game. They're pretty much who you think they are. They're big on the O&D line and they're good at the skill positions, and it's going to be a big task ahead of us, but I think our guys are up for it.
Awesome. I was going to ask you this. You guys are going into your potential 5th straight championship. It's a cyclical. You got guys coming in, got guys coming out. When you put together a team, do you have that in your mind that we want to have 8 to 14 returning players because they know the culture, they know what we want, that type of thing?
Yeah, there's not really a hard number with it, but it's definitely in the back of the mind when you're picking players. Sort of also just the way it works out in Saskatchewan. Like we have to pick the 40 best, and the 40 best usually include some kind of underclassmen, and that's the way it works out. But we don't have a number. It's like, hey, we'd like 8, but we certainly would like carryover, because the carryover helps build the culture from one year to another, and that definitely helps take us a long way, maybe a little further than we should go. So.
But we're not talking about culture just winning. We're talking about winning off the field. Like your dressing rooms are the cleanest. You guys are generally regarded as the most respectful team,
Yeah, and first of all, the kids are great. They're Saskatchewan kids, and they work hard, and most of them have come from a good upbringing, and they kind of understand please and thank you, and hold the door for a person, and clean up after yourself a little bit, and then we talk about it, and we show the value in what that'll bring, and we show how that you can do all that stuff, and you can still be a competitor, and you can be competitive, and you can be wildly successful and hold the door open for someone. Or
quite remarkable when you think about it, Dwayne. Just to wrap up, going for your 5th championship in Saskatchewan, little landlocked prairie province that is, well, the province isn't little, but you know what I mean. Windswept, cold, and you got 1.25 million people, and this, how do you speak to how great this province does of football?
Yeah, I think all the minor football programs, they deserve all their kudos wherever they may be, whether it's the big cities or smaller towns, Yorkton, Moose Jaw, etc. They deserve all the credit. The Riders deserve some credit because they have driven hype in the province for years, and Saskatchewan is a football community sort of thing. But it goes back to the coaches and the grassroots programs and people giving back, like guys who are involved in the sport, they all end up giving back a little bit. And it's a credit to all those guys, the Len Antoninis of the world and the Gieberts of the world up in Saskatoon. And we get these, by the time we get the players, they're really skilled and they're really driven, and they've worked hard to get to where they're at. And, I can't say enough good things about all the high school teams and everybody else. And
the Dwayne Masons of the world who's been doing this for a long time. Lastly, I got a question for you. would I be fair in saying this when you look at the different strengths of northern versus southern Saskatchewan? Do we have more of the skilled guys down south, and they got the more brute force along the lines up north? Is that because it used to be the case? I don't know if that's still the case.
It's probably not the case this year, but certainly if you were to look back over time and kind of just analyze a little bit, that would have been the case. The north traditionally had more sort of bigger linemen, and the south we had sort of smaller, faster players. So I would say that would have been in the past, but this year certainly it's not. We have a couple of guys from Riffle that are anchoring both tackles, and our centers from Davidson, and we have some other guys, a couple of Melfort guys. I mean, you might consider them north, and so I don't think it's that way now, and it's hard to just kind of paint that circle, but it used to for sure be that way, 100%.
So you got Ontario, and then if you win that, you're in the championship game on Saturday. Is that how that works?
Yeah, that'd be correct. So Ontario semifinal, and then just wait and see who we play, and hopefully we come out successful and go from there.
Dwayne, thanks for your time, man. All you do at this tournament and post-secondary with the Rams, I appreciate your time.
For sure. Thanks a lot, Michael. Appreciate you.
Well, it's great to see this guy back in the Canadian Football League, my friend Derrick Moncrief. Now, Crief, how long have you been playing football for? Like from a little wee guy, how long have you been playing for?
Man, I've been playing football since the age of 5. I'm 31.
Mm-hmm.
So 31, man.
Yeah, so talk to me about that, Derrick. How tough was it not to start a season playing football?
Oh, it was very tough, but in life, man, you got to go through something. You really have to go through the process, and I really enjoyed and embraced the process. A lot of good days, a lot of bad days, but man, I just kept chopping the wood, man, and now I'm here.
Now, what did you learn about yourself in that process?
Just patience, man. Patience, enduring tough times. Just developing as a man, as a husband, as a father, and continue to get better as a football player. And I think that time, man, I didn't let it become idle time. I put my best foot forward each and every day, man, and I'm here.
That's a very good. I'm going through some stuff myself too, so that's a very good thing. Yeah. Who'd you lean on, Derrick, when you were going through when the days weren't so good?
Yeah, man, my wife, of course, just seeing my little daughter, man, just being a blessing, being a blessed father, man, just looking at those two every day, giving me encouragement. Also, my parents and my brothers and stuff like that, and people around town there, and yeah, man, it was good to have that great support system. My great father-in-law and mother-in-law too. So, man, I always had great support, man, since I've been playing football. So, yeah, kudos to the fam.
So, Derrick, talk to me about being a dad. What have you? I know you're Minnie, great little Minnie. She's 1 year old, Minnie Moncrief. I love it. What have you learned about or appreciate about being a dad? Now that you're a dad, maybe didn't think about what your dad went through or what your father-in-law went through. Yeah,
man, just really just understanding, because they can't give you a book on how to be a father or how to be a mother, whatever it is. But man, just going through that process every day, because something changes every day. The way she smiles, or she may talk, or she may start to walk. And just understanding that you have to be patient. Yeah. Just like the process of me waiting for football and stuff, you have to be patient with your children. You have to be understanding. And man, it was an awesome, 7 to 8 months there. I was just at home with her, spending a lot of time with her.
Yeah. So what is it like for you now to make the decision to come to Edmonton? As a football player, you're like, yes, I'm going to do it. But as a dad who's away from a 1-year-old who changes all the time, how tough is it for you to be away from family because they're back in Regina?
I tell you what, thank you God for iPhones. Shouts out to Apple, man. But yeah, man, it's tough, man. But this is a purposeful moment I'm in right now, and I just got to grasp it. When I'm in football, I'm in football. When it's time to be a dad and it's time to be laid back and do that, then that's what I got to do. So I got to juggle the hats really well there and try to be a loving father and a great husband from miles away. So I'm looking
So you're
forward to
coming
it.
into a football team that has lost 4 games by a combined 17 points. So you feel like they're on the cusp. What kind of
Yeah.
situation are you getting yourself into, do you think?
It's a great challenge. I think I was talking to my dad the other day, and just looking forward to the challenge, man. And you know what I bring to a football team. I'm a winner. When I wake up, I win. I want to win, and for me, just to bring my leadership and my mentality to this team and my experience, man. We're gonna get this thing rolling. I'm looking forward to it this week.
Yeah, and you know Chris Jones and you know Jason Shiver. So how much has that helped
Yeah.
you, with that decision to come play for the Edmonton Elks?
Oh man, it was an easy decision, man. Just knowing, just coming in and seeing what they needed, and asking me what I need, demanding me what I need to be out there for the football team. It was a no brainer for me. This is the only system I really played in, this 7 years in the CFL. So, man, I'm looking forward to it, man. I played some of my best ball in this system. I'm healthy now, coming off a full year of having that surgery on my shoulder. So, man, it's gonna be lights out come Sunday.
Yeah, that's not an easy a surgery to come back from. My son went through the same thing you went through. It's you have a little bit more miles
Yeah.
on your body than he does because he's younger, but that is not an
Yeah.
easy a surgery to come back from.
No, definitely not, man. That's 7, 8 month recovery, man, and it takes you a full year and a half to really get back to yourself. So man, I have no limitations, man. Shouts out to Ryan Wellman in Regina, man. He really pushed me during this off season. I got better and better as the days went by, and man, I'm just excited, man, to put the product on the field.
Yeah, so how close are you to game shape? Because it's one thing to work out with Ryan Wellman and he did a great job, but
Yeah,
it's another thing to be football ready. Like how long do you think you're away?
I'm ready, man. Man, I work out 3 times a day, man. Just keeping my cardio up, doing sprints and long distance running, and keeping myself sharp, right? So when I'm on the practice field, man, I'll be good. I'll be good to go for the game. We'll see how it goes, shakes out this week, but
Mhm.
we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, you
I'll be
got
ready.
Edmonton's got 3 winnable games here. And listen, we were talking about a team that lost to the top right now, the top teams in the league by 17 combined points. I know you
Yeah,
respect all your opponents, but these are 3 games that you have a pretty
yeah.
good chance of winning. What's the mindset of the team? I know you're just getting ready to start your practice week here.
Yeah, man. Really, man, it's all about the day-to-day thing, right? The games are easy. I tell people that all the time. Me and Coach Jones talking about that. The games are easy. It's what you do before the game because it's all about the preparation.
Hmm.
And once you prepare well and you exhaust yourself during the preparation, um, the chips are gonna fall where they're falling. Your preparation is gonna take over in the game, and that's how you win football games.
Mhm.
That's what it all boils down to. It comes down to 2 or 3 plays out of the football game and how well are you conditioned mentally, not only physically, for those moments. And you got to rise to the occasion. So we're looking forward to it this week.
So what have the Elks, Chris Jones, Shivers told you they want from you? When I watch it, and I'm just a
Yeah,
broadcaster, but when I watch, I
yeah,
see Edmonton's got a bit of a young secondary. They got some good
yeah,
chips in the linebacking core, but sometimes I think the linebackers are still trying to figure out the game. What are
yeah.
they expecting from you, Derek?
Man, just my leadership, man, what I bring to the team, my communication on the field, the film study and everything like that. And, being the dominant creep that the CFL, the coaches have seen and the fans have seen, almost going on a decade here, almost.
Yeah.
Man, I believe I've been one of the best Sam linebackers. I say that, confidently. If you cut the film on, if you ask the offensive coordinators, I give them nightmares at night. So I'm just looking forward to that, man, and I'm just confident in what I bring to this team, and I'm excited for the opportunity.
Yeah, you were a Swiss Army knife, even in a losing defense with the Rough Riders the last couple of years. You're a guy when you were healthy. You often got matched up against the best receiver, the Dembskis, the Burnhams, those kind of guys of the world. And you also could rush off the edge. You've been away
Yeah.
for a year, like in terms of getting ready, but the birth certificate might say 31, but that's maybe not true, right?
Definitely, man. Listen, man, I'm young as I can be, man. I'm feeling great, man. I'm feeling like it's feeling like my rookie season all over again. New
Mhm.
opportunity. This is my second stint here, but I just feel like a rebirth thing. This is the Moncrief that no one has seen. not even me. So I'm looking forward to it, man. I can't wait.
Okay, so how long did it take you to get the CFL game? Because I talked about the inexperience of some of these great athletic linebackers that Edmonton has. Like,
Yeah.
you can't teach athleticism, you can't teach Creef athleticism, but how long did it take you to really get down the game?
Man, really, from year 1 to year 2, because I came in and I was starting my rookie year. I missed probably the first couple games. But from that year 1 to year 2 jump, man, when I came back in 2018, that year 2, I was flying around, and then that year 3, it was just skyrocketed. So it usually takes guys like at least 2 to 3 years. I mean, if you're a really football player and you're working hard and you're watching film and stuff during the off season, you can see the drastic change in guys. And it's all about the time that you put in too. So you got to be a film rat and you got to work hard too. So kudos to the hard work that my pops and he instilled into me.
So I gotta ask you this, or comment this way. You're going to Edmonton. Yeah. You were with the Riders. You went to Edmonton for a brief spell. You came back to Saskatchewan. So this is like kind of like a second CFL home for you. You're walking in. You get the surrounding, so that helps you out too.
Yeah, no doubt, man. Just being here, man. It's just like, okay, voila, I'm here. I don't have to worry about how to get around town or this and that, and where everything is in a building. Still got the same staff. Training staff and stuff like that. So, man, it's just like I'm at home. And man, I'm just locked in on playing football, man. No distraction, no anything like that. So I'm just locked and loaded and ready, to get these wins rolling.
I get a sense you're ready to bounce off the walls, like you're ready to go, hey?
Yeah, man, it's been a while, man. It's I haven't played a football game since October last year. Yeah. So yeah, man, I've been licking the chops here for a couple months, man, and I'm just excited for this opportunity, man, because it doesn't come around,
2 more quick questions for you. I know it's a busy week. So, last couple of years weren't spectacular in Saskatchewan, and you said you were a winner. Okay, you're a winner. Right. So you're lucky to get or happy to get another chance to turn around a team that's struggling right now. Because if you're a winner, you don't want to go out a loser. Quote, right?
Yeah, no doubt, man. I missed the playoffs. When I came back in 21 here, and then I missed it the last 2 years in Saskatchewan, and some of the most just tough because I've never been in that position where you don't get into the postseason, you don't get into the dance, and for me, man, listen, that's where I thrive at in the postseason. The regular season, that's cool, but the real dogs come out in the postseason, man, and that's what I live for, right? That's what I prepare for in the off season when I'm going through those crazy workouts, when I'm waking up early and staying up late and stuff like that. But man, I tell you what, we're going to turn this thing around here in Edmonton. I'm just looking forward to it.
Well, it's never too late in a 9-team league. I always say it's a race to 9 wins. You got to get 9 wins. If you get 9 wins, you get to the playoffs. So you've got 14 games left. You got a pretty good chance to make something happen for sure.
Yeah, man, we just got to stay locked in. Anytime you got a young team like that and you got guys, vet guys like me, just coming in, it's a good thing, right? It's like a thing. You have the ingredients, but you got to mix it up, man. You got to mix it up. You got to make that meal. Sometimes that meal takes a long time to prepare, and we got the right ingredients for this football team, man. Just the veteran guys have to step up, man. We got to lead, and we got to show them the way each and every day.
And lastly, are you going to be 42? Are you number 42? What number are you going to be wearing?
No, I got 29, man. So 29 is symbolic. This guy, family friend of mine, like an uncle to me. He passed away years and years ago. He wore number 29, so I'm going to rock out for Low Pickett here. 29.
And what was his name? What was his name?
Low Pickett.
Low Pickett.
Lorenzo Pickett.
Okay.
Yes, sir, 29, Prattville, the Prattville way. So.
Well, right. Was that always the number you wanted? Like, was that always the number you wanted? Or was 42 like big to you? Or was that just a number they gave you in Saskatchewan?
Yeah, that was just a number they gave me in Sask, but I had a chance to pick this number, man, and it was like this is the perfect time to get this number. So here we go.
And I believe if you look it up, I think that's Joe Holloman's number. He was an outstanding defensive back for those Eskimo glory teams. Yeah. So you gotta live up. You gotta live up to that number, man. That's and I think you will. I think you will, Creef. I'm looking forward to seeing you play, man. I'm glad you're back in the league, and I'm glad you're still part of our community in Regina. So I'll be cheering for you long distance. Okay.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you, Ballsy.
And that's Stats, Cocktails, and Dreams and Cravings. They are a sponsor of our post-game show, the Our Balls Are Bigger post-game show. I put that up there because I want to remind you that we do a call-in show after every, or a post-game show after every Rough Rider game. It's not necessarily call-in show. You can call in video or audio style, and also we hook up the chat room and talk to you that way. One lucky follower, could be a regular follower or a new follower at Ballsy Uncut, X, Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, I guess YouTube would be a subscriber, is going to get a pick six, a 6-pack of the Super Squeeze Seltzer, either passion fruit lime or mango lime from District Brewing. I'm going to get you that, and 2 tickets to a CFL game. Okay. Could be in Regina. Maybe I'll get you tickets in another city. You have to follow. Maybe make a comment. And let's go to our chat room for a second here. Kelly Rempel, he's saying, don't be cheap like Ballsy. Come out and support Saskatchewan to their national championship today. Tamara Bissett says, definitely a cash grab, but as a basketball parent, I know that's the way organizations like Football Canada make their money. Well, I'm led to believe Football Canada is subsidizing this Canada Cup. It's not them making the cash grab, if that's what's happening. It's it's Football Sask. And what I'm told is it's hard to empty the stadium and then have re-entry. Then you should probably make the pass $20 so that if a guy like me just wants to pop by and watch a game, has nobody, no vested interest in the game in terms of cheering, just wants to watch good amateur football, the Stars of Tomorrow Today, which we promote here on Ballsy Uncut, you should make it affordable. It's kind of, and if it's because, if one of the arguments, and I don't know if that's what it is, but one of the arguments is it's to rent Mosaic Stadium, then don't rent Mosaic Stadium. We got Libel Field. Go there. Have all your games there at Libel Field. Why not? By the way, I want to give a shout out to my buddy. I bought this last year. He sold me. He sat with me on the plane, behind me on the rider plane and the charter. And he said, hey, Ballsy, I got my own clothing line. Baines World. Instead of Wayne's World, Baines World. I guess that's when it was established, 2020. Sean Bain Jr. back at practice for the Riders. His sister apparently passed away suddenly, and he was away, missing from the team. So our condolences to Sean Bain Jr., who's a real good guy and emerging as a star receiver in the Riders receiving core. And you can expect him to get some passes on bubble screens and quick hitters for Shea Patterson this week against the BC Lions, who are heavily favored over the Saskatchewan Roughriders, like 7.5 points last I saw. What else can we talk about here? Netflix receivers drops today. That they had the quarterback, like Peyton Manning's production company did quarterbacks, that series with, what was it? It was Mahomes and who's the guy that was the old Titans quarterback who's from Hawaii? Oh, it's slipping my mind. No, not Tua. Oh, he played for Tennessee, Atlanta. In this doc, he was in Atlanta. I'm drawing a blank. Anyway, we had Kirk Cousins, Patrick Mahomes. Oh, who's the guy? It's going to drive me nuts. Anyway, in that documentary, he wanted to be anywhere but the NFL. It seemed like he wanted to be back home in Atlanta. That was the quarterbacks one. They're doing a receivers one today, and it's dropped on Netflix. And I think Randy Moss has a lot to do with it, at least if you believe the trailer. So it brings up the age-old debate. Who's the best? Give me your top 3 receivers of all time in the NFL. Now, there are a lot of receivers that played in the NFL. I'd go Larry Fitzgerald Jr., played his entire career with the Cardinals. Close to winning the Super Bowl that year in 2009, I believe, against the Steelers. And then I'll go Randy Moss. People say Randy Moss is the greatest receiver. Just ask Randy Moss. But I'm going to tell you this right now. That's garbage. We had Mark Trestman on, who coached Jerry Rice with the Raiders when he was 40 years old, still catching 100 passes a year. Jerry Rice is the best receiver that's ever played in the NFL, and there's no argument. In fact, Jerry Rice is the best football player that's ever played in the NFL. Don't believe me? Look at his touchdown stats and think about, on average, how many times a receiver touches a football, either catching or running, like a jet sweep or something. It's Jerry Rice is the greatest football player in NFL history, bar none. So I got Rice, Moss, Fitzgerald. That should be a good one. That's worth watching. Also, I just started HBO's off-season Hard Knocks with the New York Giants, get to go behind the scenes with what some of these GMs and owners. I'll tell you what, these community-owned teams in the CFL are, I guess, in some ways necessary in the sense that I don't know that you'll ever get, I don't know that you'll get private ownership. Like, you're not making a lot of money in the CFL, and it's not overly attractive to be a CFL owner right now. Amar Doman's trying, Palato's trying. Ottawa, they've got stable ownership there. Winnipeg's community owned, the Riders are community owned, and Edmonton's about to move away from being community owned. In community owned, with community owned teams, you don't really have the pressure to win. You really don't. You don't, because they prey on it like it's community. This is our team. We're all in it together. NFL owners, they don't put up with shit. It's like, if you don't win, you're out for the most part, unless you're the Steelers. But if you don't win, you're out. We got to win, or I'm on to the next guy. I'm on to the next guy. I'm on to the next guy. You look at the owners, they don't put up with crap. And this documentary takes you behind the scenes. When you got community-owned teams, it's like, oh yeah, we can just trudge along. Yeah, we can lose $1 million. Yeah, we can go winless after Labor Day 2 years in a row. They'll still love us. We're still the team. We're still their team. So I don't know how long community ownership will last, if it'll last forever. Winnipeg's done well. The Riders, previous to the last couple of years, seem to make a go of it. Off and on. They're going to have to turn it around here. And, their coach has been begging people to come out to the games, make it like it was old school, make it like it's old school Rider Nation, and come out to our home game July 19th. I'll tell you one thing for free. If the Riders go in and handle their business against the BC Lions in this great Western Division showdown for first place, there will be a pretty good crowd at Mosaic Stadium. And if there isn't, then they got some real big problems. Back to soccer. I was talking about how brutal soccer is, like in terms of guys falling all over each other. A guy tried to tell me the other day, I'm serious, I'm at a social, and this guy tries to tell me that he wouldn't go to a CFL game if he got free tickets and free concessions all night. It's garbage football. It's Bush League football. Okay, I'll listen to you. I'll listen to you, even though it's a stupid comment. And the same dude tried to tell me that the MLS is great. That the MLS is great. Their franchise fees are great. Like, look at their franchise fees. He's right about that, which I can't believe. I can't believe franchise fees and the valuation of MLS teams are as high as they are. Because check this out. The CFL, I don't think you can make an argument here. And I heard some people joined my Twitter chain on at Ballsy Uncut, retweeted it at The Real Ballsy, my two ex accounts. Anyway, some guy said, NCAA is way better. That's the second best football league in the world. No, the CFL is the second best football league in the world. Let's be honest. It's the oldest one. And if we want to go with what everybody says, the money, all the bells and whistles, like I said, 1 through 7 or 8 players on every NFL team are elite. And after that, the leagues are pretty comparable. Don't believe me? Believe me, I don't give a shit. Talk to people that have played and coached in both leagues. They'll tell you the exact same thing I said. If you're denying it, you're just denying it because you want to fight. But to tell me that the CFL is Bush League and garbage, and then try to tell me that the MLS is this great league. Do you know the ML? I looked. There's a thing called the Google machine. I went on the internet and looked. The CFL is the second best league in professional football, our American/Canadian rules football. It's the second best pro football league. Okay. So just for the purpose of this argument, do you know where MLS ranks in terms of soccer leagues in the world? And I'll use soccer. I know they call it football over there or wherever, other parts of the world, but we'll call it soccer just for the debate's sake here. Do you know where the MLS ranks? The MLS is the 16th out of 32 soccer leagues in the world, the 16th best soccer league. So if you're going to argue that crap, tell it to somebody else. Like, just get out of here. All right. These are world-class athletes playing the best version of football on the planet. And I'd gladly go watch tonight too, the Canada Cup, but for $40. And Kelly, you've managed my money, Kelly Rampel. You know, I don't have a lot to throw around. Also, I got to bring this up. Former NHL player Greg Johnson, who played 14 seasons and served as captain of the Nashville Predators, has been posthumously diagnosed with CTE, which is the brain disease linked to repetitive head impacts. Johnson died by suicide in 2019 at the age of 48. His diagnosis was announced by the Concussion Legacy Foundation at the request of his family. The case adds to a growing list of former NHL players diagnosed with CTE, highlighting the ongoing concern over the long-term effects of head injuries in contact sports. Now, I get contact sports. It comes with the territory. I myself watching my son play. I'm like, he learned to love football because of his dad. And sometimes I wondered, did I put him down the wrong path? But he loves it. He seems to be pretty natural at it. So, and he loves, and he wants to try to be a professional football player, even for a couple of years. So I'm not going to stand in his way. But if he told me tomorrow he wanted to quit, I'd say, okay, break my heart a bit, only because I just love watching my kid play, but I don't live vicariously through him, contrary to what some people believe. I would just, you love watching your kids. My girl's doing the Sessions trampoline now at Sessions, where it's kind of like a dance routine on trampolines. I love watching her too. But anyway, so yes, you know what you're signing up for with football, with hockey, with UFC, with boxing. You do. But then I see George Laraque, who, by the way, I had a chance to spend an evening with, driving him to and from Shaunavon for a dinner. Picked him up at his hotel, drove there, drove back with Mike McCullough and Matt Dominguez. I emceed the dinner with those three former professional athletes. Had a great time with George Laraque. Nice enough guy, lasted in the NHL, scored 20-some goals in a few seasons, was with the Oilers when they went to the 2006 Stanley Cup final. George Laraque was just on X, and George Laraque is talking about holding a fighting camp with that Rempe kid from the Rangers who's fighting every time, and with some other guys. Why are we having a fighting camp? Derek Boogaard dies. Rick Rippon dies. Concussion problems, suicide. Like, yes, hockey is physical and violent enough. Why are we allowing fighting? It's time now that the NHL gets their heads out of their ass. Crazy. Absolutely crazy. Anyway, we're going to step back for a second here, recognize another great sponsor, and then Eddie, the real deal, Steele, former Manitoba Bison Vanier Cup champ, former Edmonton Eskimos Grey Cup champ, is going to join me to talk about the CFL week number 6, and he's going to help me pick some games. I went 3-1 last week. Ben Hebert, my celebrity picker, was 4-0. First time I've been beaten. Actually, second time. Craig Smith beat me once too. Okay, so I'm not that good. Actually, for the year, I'm 14-6. We'll go head-to-head in our picks coming up next, and we'll get his thoughts so far in the CFL. All right, I'm here with my friend Eddie Steele, 1440 on the AM dial in Edmonton, along with the likes of Jason Greger and Kevin Carius. Eddie's a Vanier Cup champ and a Grey Cup champ. So, how you doing, my friend?
I'm doing awesome, man. It's good to be with you. Long time no chat.
Yeah, I knew you'd end up. You were on the Rider Radio Network. I added you there. I knew you'd end up in a regular gig doing that. What else do you do with your time here?
So I'm in sales for a chemical maintenance company. So lots of facility maintenance products. So, for example, I'll pull into a small town in Alberta and I'll do business with the arena, the nursing homes in town, the public works department, the county, the golf course. So I do business with a lot of different facilities in a lot of different areas. So a lot of traveling. I drive probably about 5,000 to 7,000 kilometers a month. So I put a lot of clicks on, but I'm home every night and I love it, man.
That's the best. Hey, you're still looking good too, still working out. How much are you down from your playing days?
Yeah, I'm probably down about 40 to 45 from what I played. I'm the lightest I've ever been. Played my entire career at about 280 to 285. Actually, the heaviest I've ever been was 345 when I was in university at U of M there. Still athletic, but I was fat. I was too big. But right now I'm about 240 to 245, so I'm feeling good.
Well, you would be like, how tall were you, Eddie?
6'2".
6'2". So this Coatney guy on Calgary, he's like 6'4", 6'5", he's 350. He's wreaking havoc in the interior of that defensive line for Calgary. But let's talk about that for a second. People don't really appreciate that. For the offensive lineman and the defensive lineman, you're asked to put on a lot of weight, which is not good for the human body. And then when you see these guys leave, like the offensive lineman for the Chargers, he dropped like he went from like
the tackle.
The tackle,
Yeah,
or even,
yeah,
even
I know
Scott Flory. Scott Flory. Let's do it locally.
Flory,
Scott Flory went
totally.
from 300 to 210, and they dropped their weight. But just talk about how that's kind of unhealthy. Even when you're young, and you should be able to withstand it.
It really is, and it's like if you think about what you have to do in the game of football and the weight and the mass that you have to carry, but you have to be mobile with it at the same time, and you're having to cut and you're torquing and putting all this type of pressure on your joints. It's tough, man. It's really tough. It's not natural. The one funny thing is, though, if you notice the trend, most linemen, the guys who are big, they tend to go down and lose the weight. It's the skill position guys who end up getting the boiler in the gut because their whole life they've been skinny and were able to keep it off. And typically those guys I've found could eat whatever they wanted to eat. But then later in life, you're not able to eat what you want to eat, whereas the lineman, you got to be a little more strict if you want to keep it off.
Yeah, so actually the guy I was referring to was Philip Rivers' old center, Nick Hardwick. He went from like 3-something down to 2-something. Yeah, and you know what's funny? When we talk about that, Eddie, you look at Nick Lewis. Nick Lewis did not look very athletic when he played, but he could hurdle guys. The last year I joked with him, it looked like he was mall walking, but he still caught 100 yards a game, like he was almost a 1,000-yard receiver as a mall walker. He was a deceptively athletic player.
He really was thick Nick, as we called him down on the field. Man, what a career he had. And you're right, like when he got to Montreal, his body physically went from a receiver to a fullback. But he was still catching 100 passes a season, going for over 1,000 yards. And, I'm not going to take anything away from him because he's a Hall of Fame player. But, towards the end of the career, all he had to do literally was catch 5 passes a game. You do that for 18 games and boom, you're upwards to 100 catches just like that. So it's not like you had to go and stretch the field. If you recall, a lot of his stuff, it'd be like motions out of the backfield. He'd catch it in the flats. Mm-hmm. Those DBs, they were way too scared to tackle him because he was a big boy coming out. It's like a literal fullback coming out. Who's kidding who? He was 260 at receiver. And then they would be scared to go low, and then he'd get another 10, 15 a yak, and that's how he piled it up.
On Wednesdays, we do Where Are They Now? This is former rider, former Eskimo player, Vanier Cup and Grey Cup champion Eddie Steele joining us here. I just had Derrick Moncrief on. The one thing when I watch the Edmonton defense, they're young and athletic, but they're not getting a lot of pass rush. They get Sean Oakman, which is a great signing for them, at least athletically, and Derrick Moncrief. When he's healthy, he is a great Swiss Army knife. He can, when he was with Saskatchewan, he was covering the best receiver. He could rush off the edge. But I think they'll bring a veteran steadying presence. How do you feel about those two additions by the Edmonton Elks?
Yeah, I mean, and you would know Moncrief as well as anyone, having covered him, with the way you did, how closely you did for the past few years. Great athlete, can kind of do it all, like you said, jack of all trades, but that leadership, it's going to help. It's going to complement Luchez Purefoy. Because Luchez right now is the only leader they have back there. And then adding Moncrief, a guy who knows Luchez, has played together. And then they both have been leaders in that Jason Shivers-led defense. So they're going to be able to communicate, get the message across to guys sooner. Their two wide corners in Edmonton are playing really good football. I really think highly of their two wide corners. So adding Moncrief there in the middle, roam around. Him and Luchez are going to be interchangeable, I'm sure, at safety to bring Luchez down in the box too. So there's a lot you can do. And then you're right, man. Up front pass rush, it's been irrelevant. There hasn't been anything there. Sean Oakman is a huge body. They had high hopes for Robert Kondichi, and he hasn't really panned out so far. So adding Sean Oakman is a really good get because didn't have a great season last year, but the year before he was a huge disruptive factor. And if he can even bring half of what that was 2 years ago, he's going to be a great addition to this defense.
So before we get to picking games here, because I got you here on this Where Are They Now Wednesday to help me pick some games. But, let's go to Calgary for a second. They had Montreal on the ropes, but Jake Maier, like he's regressed the last couple of weeks here. 106 yards passing. What are you seeing from his game?
Last couple of years, to be honest, like our buddy Jeff Heck, me and him have always gone back and forth. I've been a Jake Maier believer. Jeff has been so pro Bo Levi Mitchell. In all honesty, none of them have really panned out over the past couple of years. But Jake, I thought Jake was going to be that next guy up in Calgary. I thought it was going to be a seamless transition. His first few games a few years ago, he threw for 300 plus like every game. But since then, man, it's just kind of gone downhill level by level. And right now, he's not playing very good football. And there was all the talk about he lost weight and he was going to be more athletic this year, this and that. Man, you got to win football games at the end of the day, and they're not winning football games. And he's not looking very good out there either. So I don't know what's going on, and I don't know what the plan is going to be behind him because it seems like they put a lot of their eggs in the Jake Maier basket.
So, listen, the last couple of years, I agree with you with Bo Levi Mitchell, but he's on pace this year for 40 touchdowns and 6,000 yards passing. I know that's probably not going to happen, obviously.
Yeah.
And the rest of his team stinks. Like, he's played pretty well, but that Hamilton defense, man, the secondary is embarrassing right now.
It's bad, Ballsy, but, like, I'm watching the game last week against BC. It's a track meet. BC's offense, you got to be able to score with them. He's putting up stats, but first of all, they're 0-4, so the stats are irrelevant. You can throw for everything. You're not winning, so it doesn't matter. And then, the 2-and-outs, sure, he ended with a good game, but BC got off to a fast start. As a quarterback of the other club, you got to be able to at least put a drive together to maybe slow some of that momentum, and he wasn't able to do that at all. You're right. The stats are there, and the shoulder looks a little fresh. And I've been saying the past 3 years that his arm has been dead, and he is having a resurgence, but it's all for what? Because they've won nothing.
Okay, so let's get to some of these games. Let's go in reverse order. We were talking about the Elks. The Elks, I'll tell you what, if they want to make a serious run, if they want to get some interest back in this football team, these are 3 winnable games, and they have to win all 3. Ottawa, 2 back-to-back, and Hamilton. Like, there's no excuse. They have to be 3-5. Enough of this bullshit where it's like, 4 games, 17 points. They're getting close. They're getting close.
I can't stand it, man. I can't stand it. What are you doing? It doesn't matter if we lost to the best teams and the combined record is 8-1 or whatever. Who cares? We've lost. You're 0-4.
Yeah. So who do you got in this game? Edmonton or Ottawa?
Edmonton. I got Edmonton. They've been playing good. And again, so I say it doesn't matter, and none of that matters, right? But for an 0-4 team, they've been competitive. And maybe we're saying they're competitive because the past 3 years they've been dog trash. So they're actually somewhat in games now, and that's why we're clinging on to that. But yeah, they're playing better football. McLeod Bethel Thompson has been a good addition. They haven't had a quarterback here in 2 years. So at least they have someone who can keep the offense together. So I got Edmonton in that game.
I'm going to leave the big game in terms of the standings till the end. The Riders and the BC Lions. The Calgary Stampeders are taking on the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Chris Strevler rushed for more than he passed for. I know Claris is back at practice. Calgary's already beaten Winnipeg. Who do you got in this one? Calgary on the road in Winnipeg.
I got Calgary gonna go in and beat Winnipeg. Yeah. Chris Strevler, man, you gotta air that rock out. This is the CFL, man. You can't. He's a glorified running back at this point.
Yeah,
you gotta be able to throw the football in. As a defense, watching the game that they put out and being able to prepare for them, I'd be laughing if I was a defensive player. In all honesty.
Yeah, I got Calgary too. I can't listen. You're a fine athlete, still looking great. I work out, but I wasn't at the level of Strevler. I never played pro football, so take what I say with a grain of salt. But I can't believe that guy was on an NFL roster. Like, he can't throw a football. He literally can't throw. And when he does throw it, it's behind the receivers. He rarely, out of 10 passes, 2 are accurate.
It's true, and what's wild though is he had. That one preseason where he looked pretty good 2 years ago in the preseason for like 3 straight games. But, most of it, again, was like running plays and like getting first downs with his legs and stuff. It wasn't like pure passing. So I'm with you, man. He's, in my opinion, a glorified running back. Unless he can show that he can drop back and actually play the quarterback position without having the read option and everything coming off of RPO, I got to see it.
And I'll tell you what, I'm mildly shocked that Cody Fajardo is turning into a franchise quarterback. Like you were kind of on that train. At the end, I didn't like Cody's attitude. I thought he was throwing guys under the bus, so I did not like that. But I've never questioned his toughness. But maybe it's just a thing. He's 32. He's starting to develop into. It takes guys a while. And there's another quarterback I want to talk about in that category, but it's taken him a while. But the Montreal Alouettes, they look like the class of the league right now.
You know what, man? We both got to admit we were wrong. Both got to admit we were wrong. Well, I will say this, though, with Cody. He's looking good, playing good football. Jason Moss is scheming up a really good offensive system. Mm-hmm. There are a lot of footballs that Cody throws that look like just very soft ducks in the air. He just doesn't have a great arm. His arm isn't huge. You can tell his arm strength has gone down over the years. You can tell that. That's just the honest facts. But within the scheme, in the passes that he's asked to throw, he looks really good, man.
And you're a Canadian. How much do you like seeing all these Canadian receivers like Phil Pott? There's a couple in Edmonton. The Riders are chock full of them. Now you just talk about them like they're receivers, not Canadian receivers.
Totally, man. The best receivers right now are Canadian. I love it. I absolutely love it. I want the other Phil Pott brother to get going in Calgary. I want to see both of the twins thriving at the same time.
And what's interesting is the other twin was doing better at the end of his career. Like he had a better career at the Dinos. Jalen Tyson was banged up. Okay, and let's get to that game. Who do you like, Montreal or Toronto? Toronto, Cameron Dukes kind of was what I thought he would be when he was pressed into starting duty. He was good the first few weeks, but he threw some real bad passes against the Rough Riders.
Yeah, I think Montreal's going to wipe them. They're playing such sound football. You know, they're not like impressing with this flashy offense like BC is doing. They're just playing such sound world beater football. Like they're playing world beater football right now because if their offense isn't clicking, well, their defense sure is clicking. They have solid specials, so they're the champs. Got to go through the champs.
So my prediction at the start of the year was the MOP would be Vernon Adams Jr. He'd win the Grey Cup, and then he'd get traded because Nathan Rourke would come back. That was my prediction, and I'm standing by that. And he is having an MOP type of season. There's another guy starting to... I remember Gary Etcheverry telling me back in the day, I think when you were still on the Riders, he's like, you got to watch this VA guy. This is the guy that's going to be a star in this league. And I didn't see it back then. So I'll admit it. Well, you can speak to that. But this guy's starting to develop into that bell cow for the league at quarterback.
He is, and having been his teammate back in 17, I thought Chris Jones was going to fit him into that third string quarterback role where you're a short yardage guy. Actually would even put you on the punt team because that's where you used Jordan Lynch, if you remember, for Edmonton when we won the Grey Cup, the mobile quarterback from Northern Illinois. So that's kind of what VA was. He was kind of a shaky starter when he was in Montreal, but he has blossomed into a really nice passer. What's neat about his game, again, doesn't have the biggest arm, but he's very accurate. And everybody thinks just because he's a black guy, he's a running quarterback. He's not really a running quarterback. He's mobile to get out of the pocket, but he's not out there scattering like a Mike Vick for first downs. He's using his legs to set up his arm to throw it, and that's what's really special about VA.
You know, it's funny you say that, and I'm glad you brought it up as a black guy. Warren Moon's, when you think black quarterbacks, Warren Moon and Doug Williams are really the two guys that you think of. Like they're not scrambling, and you never thought they were scrambling quarterbacks. Whereas if it's a black quarterback, you think he's got to be a natural runner. It's a good point.
Yeah, it's true. You think that. That's just the association.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so let's talk about this Rider game against the BC Lions. Just because of what we talked about, Vernon Adams against Shea Patterson. Hey, Corey Mace's defense is playing off the charts. They've got a really like a championship-style defense. I just don't think the Riders' offense will be able to keep up with the BC Lions.
That's exactly my opinion, too. I was just talking with someone about that. I think it's going to be a track meet. It's in BC. You've covered games there, and you know, even though it's not a sellout in that barn, something about them when BC's offense gets rolling, there's like a momentum there, and their turf is fast. Like it just feels like their receivers are catching the ball and turning it up for 30 yards every time. So I don't think the offense for the Riders is going to be able to compete with BC's offense, and that's what the game is going to boil down to. Because I firmly think that BC is going to put up at least 35 points, and it's going to be up to the Riders to be able to match that.
I think we're in agreement all the way across the board. I want to get a comment though on Shea Patterson. What did you think of his first start?
Look good, athlete. He's a good athlete, which I really like. The thing about a young athlete like that is they're going to fight for the yardage, fight for first downs, not be scared to use their legs. So that's really good. And all of that. With that being said, he had a couple of really nice passes too. So hey, at the end of the day, man, regardless of how it gets done, because not all of them have been pretty, and you got your backup, they're winning games, and the Corey Mace effect is real. It's cool to see.
Yeah, it is cool to see. Lastly, two things about crowd noise. What do you think of those Montreal air horns? Should they stop them?
It's annoying. It's super annoying for sure, but whatever, man. It's a full house, packed house in the CFL. Got the fans doing their thing. It's gimmicky. Let them go with it, man. So what? We're going to complain. Is what? We either got empty stadiums in Saskatchewan, Calgary, or Edmonton, and we got a packed house in Montreal, but we're going to complain because they're having fun and they got air horns? Yeah. Let's just get people in the stadiums having fun and not complain.
It's the CFL equivalent of that vuvuzela that they used in soccer back in the day. Remember that? That horn?
I do.
The other thing is, lastly, with crowd noise, I want to bring this up, Eddie. People would get mad because BC used to pump in crowd noise. I'm all for that. If I'm tuned into an NFL game, it'll be a shitty game, 9-6 Carolina and whoever, pick a team, Chicago, 9-6, and you think, oh, it's great because they've got great production value.
TV.
And it's a big crowd on TV. So if you tune into a CFL game, make it sound loud, make it sound bigger. I'm okay for pumped in crowd noise within a level. You know what I mean?
I'm with you, man. I'm with you because it is for TV as well, and you have more eyes watching it on TV than you do in the stadium. So I'm totally with you. Sell the atmosphere. You got to sell it. We're in the business of sales. We're all doing it no matter what walk of life. And they got to sell their product on TV to look like it's attractive and look like it's a pumping atmosphere. So you want to get to be in that atmosphere. Now, one thing they can't do is they can't show the lower bowl in Toronto because that's just... You just can't do that. Or the far side, whatever it is. It's like an empty state. You can't do that. Just don't show it. Just show the field.
That's a topic for another day, but this guy has the gift to gab, does a great job. Eddie Steele, thanks for your time, man. I appreciate it.
All right, Ballsy. Good to chat, man. Take care.
Yeah, thanks to my sponsor there, Ward Tirecraft, 101 Dudney Avenue. Go see Michael Barth over there and the gang. It's not easy to maintain your vehicle. Tires cost a lot. Braking costs a lot. They've got a great payment plan for you to make it very affordable. So go ask them about that. Great customer service. Tires. If you got a vehicle, you need tires, right? Go check them out and tell them Ballsy sent you. They might even hook you up with a good deal over there at Ward Tirecraft, 101 Dudney Avenue. In fact, I think if you go talk to Michael Barth, tell him Ballsy sent me. I heard about you on Ballsy Uncut Live. I'm sure he can work something out for you. He reached out to me to get on board with the show. So I appreciate him. I appreciate District Brewing with their Super Squeeze seltzer. Now in Saskatchewan liquor stores, passion fruit lime and mango lime. I will have a pick six. Get it? I'll have a pick six for somebody and 2 tickets to a CFL game for a lucky follower or commenter on any of the Ballsy Uncut platforms. X, Facebook, become a YouTube subscriber, and I will hook one of you up. That's what we're going to do around here. Got some other good things in the hopper too, including everything you need for the biggest game this summer at Mosaic Stadium, if you know what I mean. I've got everything for that game, okay? Everything you will need for that game. Some odds and ends before we wrap up. Did you see, once again, we are on the verge of nuclear war, closer than maybe we've ever been since the early 80s, the Cold War. And we've got, and I know I'm Canadian, you're Canadian generally if you're watching this, although we have American viewers and listeners too. We are in Canada, the 51st state, whether you want to admit it or not. We've got America right here. They protect us. Okay. So the U.S. election, even though we can't vote on it, is big, dominates. We've got Donald Trump against Joe Biden again, and we are on the verge of nuclear war. And Joe Biden and Donald Trump, once again, we're talking golf. Trump at a rally said he will challenge Joe Biden to a golf tournament and give him 20 strokes. And if Biden beats him, $1 million to a charity of Joe Biden's choice. As far as I know, Joe Biden hasn't accepted. Let's be honest, Joe Biden doesn't even know he's the president right now. Joe Biden wouldn't be able to find the golf course, so I would put money on Donald Trump. Now, people are like, you'd want to watch two old, decrepit guys golf? Actually, I'd rather watch that than Mike Tyson fight one of those Paul. Was it Logan Paul or Jake Paul? I forget which Paul he's fighting. Or the Mike Tyson Roy Jones Jr., which I didn't pay for, but I did watch for free. No, I'd rather watch Trump versus Biden in an octagon would be funny, but no, on the golf course. Serious. That would get more viewers than Tyson versus Paul. You can put that down. That'd be funny. Speaking of old person sports, I did play pickleball this week here out in the White City area. And you know what? It's fun. It is fun. It's glorified ping pong. Now, I used to be really good at ping pong. I used to be a really good athlete. I'm in the Saskatchewan Sports Hall of Fame as a member of the 1993 undefeated Regina Rams national junior champion football team. I ran a 4.48 and had 26.7 yard average receiving my last year playing junior football. Okay. So I do consider myself an athlete. I didn't have a lot of friends growing up. Some things never change. Anyway, so what I used to do in the basement of our 4-level split is I would put the ping pong table up on its end and just play against the wall by myself. So I got really quick and really good. And so that is my kind of sport. I don't know if my back and knees will hold up. And I played my significant other, Crescinda, in a game. And then we just rallied back and forth. I played my son yesterday at the same court, 32 degrees Celsius, and I lost 11-4. But it's a fun game. I know my buddy Troy Koser, who's battling and kicking cancer's ass. He's a big player. He does that. I think he won a bronze in a pickleball provincial tournament here in Regina. So it is fun to play. And I do think I'm a good athlete, but if I looked back and watched, if somebody filmed that, I don't think I'd look as good as I think I look. You know what I mean? There's some things that you do that you probably don't look as good as you think you look. Like, I can't wear a hat. I look like I'm checking a crop. Nothing against farmers, but I look like I'm a 70-year-old farmer checking the crops. And kudos to the farmers. Love farmers. Lots of farmers, friends and farmers in my family. But I always look like I'm checking a crop. I bought one good hat that I can wear forward. It was a Florida Panthers hat. I bought it in December when I took some radio listeners down there to watch some games. Well, I can't wear the hat. Excuse me. I can't wear the hat because my Oilers lost to the Panthers in the Stanley Cup. So if I wear the hat, it looks like I'm a traitor. Or if I wear the hat, it's like, oh, you're jumping on the bandwagon. So no, I'm taking a year off wearing that hat. At least to well into the hockey season, next hockey season. Probably a year. I'll give it a year. Hopefully the Oilers win the cup this year. So I wear hats backwards because I think they look better. But I think probably after 35, you shouldn't wear a hat backwards. It probably doesn't look as good as you think it looks, right? You know, the other thing that wouldn't look as good as you think it looks, you think you're okay. I'm in decent shape. My significant other's in decent shape. Maybe I'm not doing this, but another thing that wouldn't look good, probably a homemade sex tape. You probably think you look better than you do. And if you actually saw it, be like, no, not happening. And I'm not saying I've entertained that or I'm going to do that. I'm just saying there are a few things in your life that you probably shouldn't do. Another thing, going shirtless. I used to be the shirtless guy to ride my bike or whatever, and each to their own. But being shirtless after a certain age probably doesn't look as good as you think it looks. I'll go shirtless maybe in my backyard, hot tub, or sitting in the backyard under the sprinkler because I don't have a pool. Because I got to spend $40 to go watch a Canada Cup amateur football game. Anyway, there's some things that you think you look better than you actually do. Pickleball would be one of those, but pickleball, fun game. I'll maybe get in a league and dominate. My neighbor, Larry, great guy, Larry Grant. You got to have one good neighbor too. Everywhere I've lived, I've had one go-to neighbor. It was Derek back in Lake Ridge, Derek Wood, and it's Larry Grant here in White City. And Larry helps me out with a lot of stuff. He's like that that neighbor that watches your property, and I love it. I say you're a nosy guy, but you're the right kind of nosy. Anyway, he was talking about how one of his friends, she's like 72, she's pissed off because the younger people are playing pickleball. I said, like, who's younger? She goes like, well, those 50-year-olds. It instantly made me feel great. Like I'm a 50-year-old considered young. So yeah, maybe I'll dominate on the pickleball circuit. I kind of doubt it. Anyway, that is going to do it for my time. Coming up on Friday on Ballsy Uncut, we have got Amanda Ruler, Regina girl. She's played football. She is coached with the Rams, strength and conditioning. She is coached with McMaster's running back. She went to training camp with the Riders. She did a stint with the Seattle Seahawks under Pete Carroll, and just recently OTAs with Zach Taylor, former Bomber quarterback, who is now the coach of the Cincinnati Bengals. So she's bounced around there, cutting her teeth and learning her craft. And she has now taken over at Eastern University in the Philadelphia area as running backs coach. It's the third year of the program, and she is the first-time head coach of a women's flag team. They're just starting up the program there. So we'll talk to her about that. We'll also hear from Grover Covington's kid. Yeah, you remember the former Great Hamilton Tiger Cat, Christian Covington, formerly of the Chargers. See the Chargers there, lightning bolt and the helmet there. That's my team. He played for the Chargers. He's now with the BC Lions. He'll be on Friday to tee up the game versus the Saskatchewan Roughriders. So we will talk to him. And we'll talk a little NFL with Andy McNamara, get some early fantasy things going. And I'll ask him his top 5 fantasy receivers going into this season to tie into that Netflix feature, the Receivers feature that was created by Peyton Manning's production company and hosted now by Randy Moss. It drops today on Netflix. So we'll have Andy McNamara, our fantasy football expert for the season, joining me here on Ballsy Uncut. And also Caleb Joseph, former Major League catcher who joins us on a weekly basis. It's Taking Cuts with Caleb Joseph. We'll get his first half thoughts on the Major League season as we head towards the All-Star break. That and much, much more. Remember, by following me on Facebook, on X, on Instagram, on TikTok, or subscribing at YouTube, you will have an opportunity to win some great beverages from our friends at District Brewing and a chance. If I pick you, you will go to a CFL game, a pair of tickets to a CFL game. That'll do it for Ballsy Uncut. We'll talk to you next time.